So we are on day 29 of the government shutdown, and essential government workers, from air traffic controllers to members of the military, are not getting paid. And in less than 72 hours, more than 40 million Americans may go hungry because they're going to lose access to SNAP benefits. So there's plenty of urgency here, but negotiations on Capitol Hill remain at a standstill. So today, Senate Democrats, led by Senator Ben Luján, introduced a bill to ensure that SNAP benefits keep flowing throughout the shutdown by using a prepaid contingency fund that Trump is refusing to tap. But the Republican Majority Leader, John Thune, the guy who has the ability to determine what bills go to the floor, would not even entertain that idea. Instead, he did this.
Let me just point out, if I might, that we are 29 days into a Democrat shutdown. And the senator from New Mexico was absolutely right. SNAP recipients shouldn't go without food. People should be getting paid in this country. And we've tried to do that 13 times. And you voted no 13 times. This isn't a political game. These are real people's lives that we're talking about. And you all have just figured out 29 days in that, oh, there might be some consequences. 13 times people over here voted to fund SNAP. 13 times they voted to fund WIC. My aching back.
Quite the performance there. I mean, remember, a big issue here is his refusal, Trump's refusal, Mike Johnson's refusal to extend health care subsidies so that healthcare costs won't skyrocket for millions of Americans. But what Thune also failed to mention there, though, is the fact that Republicans are currently in the majority. And as the majority, it is incumbent upon them to lead and to lead negotiations. So in direct response to Thune's outburst, Democratic Senator Luján did his best to remind Republicans of that responsibility.
When you have to negotiate, when you hold power, when you're in the majority, you meet people. Maybe they've got an office around here to sit some people, and there's a White House. It's easy to get in. There's a big hole in it. President Trump said not long ago that if there's a shutdown, it's up to presidents to bring people together to prevent it. And if there's a shutdown, it does not bode well for the President of the United States of America. He's absolutely right.
Joining me now is Democratic Senator Ben Luján, who you just saw there in that clip. Let me just start. I tried to explain it to everybody. Tell us what the heck happened on the Senate floor today.
Well, Jen, we were simply going down to the floor to offer the legislation and say, hey, we're going to ask for something called unanimous consent, which means if no one objects to whatever the bill is, it just comes straight to the floor. So I went down to have this conversation with a Republican colleague. I didn't know which one it was going to be. And then it was Leader Thune that took the mic there. And I've not seen this kind of energy at this level, I don't think ever. And we saw what happened. But look, in the end, that kind of energy is what's needed to actually solve the problem, so maybe it can be directed in a good way. And while I authored this piece of legislation to say we're going to pay this program, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which has never lapsed in the history of the United States, President Trump found the money during his first term from the same contingency fund that Secretary Rollins is now saying she's not going to tap. And by the way, the United States Department of Agriculture actually pulled down the document that said that we would pay this. It's not just my bill. A Republican colleague from Missouri has authored the same bill, and he has himself and 10 other Republicans that are co-sponsors already allowed this bill to come to the floor. And by the way, Mr. President, if you don't want this bill, if Leader Thune doesn't want this bill, all the president has to do is tap into the contingency fund and make sure that people can eat. Not in the United States of America should people go hungry. I mean, it's just absolutely disgusting what's happening right now.
It is disgusting. And you were telling me, and I know you brought this up at a committee hearing on the Agriculture Committee, that it's not just the contingency fund. There's other funding that they could tap into, and they are refusing to tap into to solve this problem.
Yeah, so Jen, I was part of a news conference earlier in the day as well, and one of the journalists suggested, well, $5 billion is not enough to pay for the program. She's correct, $5 billion is not enough. It's going to cost more. Well, it turns out there's another $23 billion program that is from tariffs. In Chapter 32, Section 32 is what was jumping out at me right now. But those funds can be transferred into the food programs. It's already allowed. There's statute that allows it. And by the way, that document that I shared earlier that was taken down from the USDA website, just a couple weeks ago, justified how to do this. And now they're hiding it and lying to the American people, saying they can't. And they're even pulling Speaker Johnson into this, who's sharing the same lies to the American people that they can't do it. They absolutely can. Full stop. That's factual. No one can refute that.
They could also do negotiations. I mean, I don't want to be too Pollyanna-ish about this, but I wanted to ask you, I mean, Thune also told Politico that he expects to meet pretty soon. Now, we don't know when that is. It hasn't been scheduled, with a group of rank-and-file Senate Democrats. Have you heard anything about that? Are you part of that? Nothing been scheduled?
I've not heard about it. There's a couple rumors that we're hearing from some journalists that have been asking questions, but I've not heard about it. I mean, as a matter of fact, during my little conversation on the floor, that we can call it that, Leader Thune suggested that there was going to be some meetings soon, but I'm not one of the folks that have heard about it. And I'm willing to work with anyone. When it comes to making a difference in the lives of people across New Mexico, my door's open. But if you want to mess with my constituents, you want to be a bully, we're going to square off.
I love to hear that. If there is something to be a bully about, it's people going hungry in this country. So thank you for doing what you did today. Powerful to watch. I have not seen Senator Thune that mad, and it was mad for the wrong reasons, I'll just note. Senator Ben Ray Luján, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for talking about this.
Of course.